by your contributions, but also any comments that you have. We're reading all of them, and we get back to as many people as we can, as quickly as we can. So today on the show, I mean, it's kind of hard to avoid. Let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel. He got fired. I still have a hard time understanding why he got fired, but if I were to guess as a media person, that budget might have had a little bit something to do with it, but maybe everybody has different ideas about what was behind that firing. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about the FBI director testifying about Charlie Kirk's murder and that investigation. And a question that continues since everything that's been happening this, I don't know, is it last few years, makes me and others think that this political line that we have, this side versus that side, will it ever end? I know we've always had differences since America began, but sometimes when you're living in it, it seems hard to imagine that it'll ever end. So every week you come here, right here to WOAI. That's where you'll hear former Bexar County DA Nico LaHood, trial lawyer, managing partner of LaHood Durton Law Group, and George Arujo, scholar, former chemist, and pharmaceutical researcher and director. It's so funny because there's a public memorial service for Charlie Kirk. That's going to be tomorrow in Arizona. Tens of thousands of people, including the president and vice president, will be there. And it was funny, ironically, I guess, it's going to be streamed on ABC News, live blog coverage. And it's ironic to me because it isn't ABC the network that just indefinitely suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live over what they said, his comments about the Charlie Kirk shooting. Hey, guys. I wanted to say good morning. I haven't talked to y'all. We entered the studio and there has been no conversation, but it is kind of weird to me, the Jimmy Kimmel situation and what the president has said and what the FCC director has said, because it doesn't seem to fall in line with what happened.
Well, I mean, there's some things that are weird and some that aren't. I mean, to me, I'll just give you an overview and then we can dissect it. I mean, to me, this is an employer-employee situation.
That's what I think.
It's not like as if you can't look at his ratings.
And the money that's going down the tubes.
I mean, it costs a lot of money. You have salaries. You have other people that work, not just his exorbitant salary. And you look at what eyeballs he's getting, and eyeballs attract advertisers. And then you have affiliates. You have Nexstar and you have Sinclair, the affiliates that work with these broadcasting companies. And they're like, look, we're not going to hold them anymore. We're ticked off at this, and we don't accept this. And so they're listening to their clients, and they're listening to ultimately their audience. So I just look, and you know me. I mean, I have no problem pissing off my side, quote unquote. I'm just going to share my opinions, back it up with I believe is objective evidence, and be open to being wrong. How about that? And then someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I just think it's this selective outrage. These people that they don't care about free speech. You're not going to win that argument, whether it's Alamo Talk or Mark Antoine or anybody else that usually disagrees with me, and respectfully, of course, but you're just not going to win that argument. Tim Walz had a COVID snitch line. Biden created a fake information list that Bobby Kennedy was on, that everyone on that list got canceled, by the way, from the Bollingers to Dale Bigtree to other people that were on, to different doctors. I don't remember anyone defending that's so outraged by this. I just don't remember anyone defending the parents at school boards. They were being labeled domestic terrorists. I don't remember the people defending the conservatives, which were being pushed and pressured to be canceled, and that they were being pressured to lose their sponsorships, like whether you like him or not, you know, Laura Ingraham and all of them, and Hannity and some of those other people, and Tucker, by the way. I don't remember Biden administration working with Facebook to censor conservatives. Nobody was outraged by that. It's okay because it was needed, because we needed to protect people from bad information. Biden created that list that I mentioned earlier, and I don't remember anyone defending Tucker Carlson when he got fired by Fox. And I sure don't remember anyone defending President Trump when the former president was canceled from different platforms. I just don't remember these things.
Banned. And
so if all these people are just such champions of free speech, which the classical liberal used to, not the leftist of today, I really call respectful BS on you. I just do, because you're not going to win that objective argument. Just say whatever it is, but don't say that you care about free speech. And then I have equal criticism to the conservatives on the other side, the ones that want Jimmy Kimmel, canceled. I think you're wrong also. I don't want him canceled. I know if you're going to talk about broadcasting and free airway versus internet stuff, we can talk about the legalities and the nuances of that is fine. But I don't support the fact that he gets canceled for his words. I think I support if he's fired for his lack of performance and his insubordination to his supervisors, because what the word on the street is that he was called and they said, hey, tone it down. And he said, no, I'm not going to tone it down. Well, then we're going to tone you down because we got people that are ticked off at you and they pay your bills and we have to pay your bills. And we've been losing money on you for a long time and we've tolerated you. And I just think this was just a catalyst. I don't think that this was the reason. I just think it was a catalyst, and we can dissect that. But there's I don't know if I'm not into the whole equal blame stuff, but I think there's some criticism because if the conservative traditional constitutionalist believes in free speech, well then you believe in free speech. There is no such thing as hate speech. There's not an exception in the First Amendment for hate speech. What is that? How do you prosecute hate speech? Now, not all speech. I mean, obviously, certain speech can be prosecuted. If I lie to you to trick you out of your money or to deceive you out of your money, well, I used words, I used speech to do that. That's called fraud. I mean, so that can't do that. I can't yell at George and while we're holding up a store and say shooter, 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 so we can get away. Well, I'm law of parties, co-conspirator in that murder, capital murder maybe. So I get all that, and I mean, we all know that you can yell fire in a movie theater. That's kind of a misnomer. But hate speech is protected speech. I mean, if we're at a protest, I'll give you two examples. If you're at a protest and there's police officers there, and I'm inciting direct violence. I mean, there's actually a case on that, and that is not protected speech. If I say get the pigs, and it's called Brandenburg v. Ohio, that's not protected speech because I am inciting direct incitement for violence. That's not protected speech. So we can dissect that if you want to. So I just there's an interesting analysis that I think that I've gone through this week as I've watched and sat back and listened, and I'm looking at these people outraged, and I have other people, to include people that representing the administration saying they're going to go after hate speech. I think that's a slippery slope, and I would respectfully and passionately advise them not to do that. And we got to be very, very careful because someday, if people don't watch it, I'm going to say it again. There's going to be a President AOC. There's going to be a President Newsom. And everybody's going to be yelling again, and all the free speech people supposedly, allegedly, are going to be like, wait a minute, that's wrong. And I'm going to call BS on them again too. And I'm going to say, be careful the world you help create, conservative, quote unquote, because someday you may have to live in it. And so that's my caution to both sides. But the fake outrage on the left is laughable.
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree more. You can go back and study your hate speech law, and you can clearly see that it was an outgrowth. I mean, I can't stand hate speech laws. I think it's a real slippery slope.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got clearly incite speech that's inciting violence inciting speech, okay, got it. That's obviously not protected by, or it should be obvious to people who are reading the First Amendment and the protection of freedom of expression in public spaces. That's not protected. But hate speech, are you kidding me? I mean, the idea that the First Amendment doesn't protect hate speech? So this was an outgrowth. Hate speech was an outgrowth on college campuses whenever there was criticism from the right of, left-wing speech. And they didn't like that. And so they took that as, remember the words are violence movement. And so I think that's a real slippery slope. This idea that what happened, and we should talk about what Jimmy Kimmel actually said. He basically pinned the shooter on MAGA and said that MAGA was using this to score political points. And so we can sit here and talk about the nuances on FCC regulations and so forth. And this all came out. I guess Brandon Carr, who's the head of the FCC, was in a discussion with Benny Johnson on his podcast. And Benny Johnson kind of asked him and said, look, I think this is outrageous. He's putting this on the shoulders of MAGA. This is a lie. He should know that. Every bit of evidence that has come out shows that this guy was a gay guy who was in love with a trans person and had a history of trafficking Antifa slogans on the internet, and they have the exchange on the Discord website and so forth. And for him to basically flip the narrative, put this on MAGA or fascists. He didn't say MAGA or fascists, but he said that this is MAGA, one of their own, and that this is to score political points. Now, was he fired for that? I really don't know that he was fired for that, Nico. There's been, and people who are researching this, and I'm irritated even as I talk about it. I'm frustrated by it because even though I have concern about free speech, of course, I'm irritated that this is getting so much airtime because it's detracting from the real topic, which is a clear escalation of left-wing violence in America. Yeah. And so this is a pivot, and I'm frustrated by it. Now, we should talk about why he was really fired, which I think is, to your point, Nico, I think it's more of a business decision. I mean, this guy's show has been dying for a while.
Okay, we're going to take a break right now, but please stay with us. Go to sidebartv.com, get online, and we will be right back with more on Sidebar.
With reputations as respected high-level prosecutors in Bexar County, the attorneys of LaHood Norton Law Group bring invaluable practical knowledge from the other side of the aisle, using over 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome.
I'm Nico LaHood with LaHood Norton Law Group. Have you been arrested or accused of a crime? The LaHood Norton Law Group has the knowledge to defend you regardless of how small or large your case. In Bexar County, anywhere in the state, or even nationwide, we have the knowledge to defend you in federal or state court, no matter how small or large your case. We are trial lawyers with proven success.
Using their 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate for their clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome. The LaHood Norton Law Group. For a free consultation, call today, 210-797-7700. 210-797-7700. LaHoodNorton.com.
This is Nico LaHood. If you or a loved one has been arrested or accused of a crime, we can help.
LaHoodNorton.com.
1200 WOAI, this is Sidebar. I'm excited to get back into this conversation because I, like you, Nico, feel like this had nothing to do with the First Amendment. But going back to the entire firing of Jimmy Kimmel, there are two things that are making it worse. And yes, it is getting away from the reality of what you said, George, of what has happened. What happened to Charlie Kirk? Yes, it's getting away from that. But two reasons why the conversation continues is, do you feel like sometimes President Trump says things to get people all riled up, like, yeah, and Jimmy Fallon should be next, you know, when it comes to the late night talk show host, because he said it when Stephen Colbert got fired.
That's a good point, but let's look at what he said. He actually said congratulations for them having the courage to finally do what needed to be done. And so,
but it wasn't about the First Amendment. It was just getting rid of them because they had no viewers. And their money was just like...
The ratings for Kimmel's show have been falling for years. I mean, revenues have been... This is well documented. You can read about it, as have revenues. If you want the pieces, I can post them on Sidebar, but the literature's copious out there. The revenues have been falling. And even Kimmel is on a record saying that he thought his show was going to soon burn out. So, I mean, the reality is he alienated 50% of his audience.
But didn't Stephen Colbert do the same thing?
Sure they did. But Kimmel said, if you're a MAGA supporter, don't watch me. I mean, if you're on the board, if you're talking about profits and dollars and cents,
bottom line,
like what? That's like someone selling widgets and saying, if you believe in this ideology, don't buy my product. It was like, well, you're stupid. I mean, why would you do that? I mean, unless you want to just have a specified product, that's fine, and only for certain people. But then you're going to limit your productivity and your profitability. But so there's a lot of things wrong here. But it's not a free speech issue. I mean, this is not a governmental agency. Now the FCC stepping in and making those comments. You know, I wasn't comfortable with that. I don't want that. I don't want the government to come in and tell me anything. You just take care of the border, make sure that we have a good standing in the national stage. You know, and that's it. I mean, just leave me alone.
Don't you think the furor over what Carr actually said is a little overstated? I mean, so Benny said to him, I mean, don't you think at least an apology is warranted? And he goes, yeah, I think that's a minimal, reasonable thing to do.
But he says, we're watching you. He says, we're watching you.
He continued.
Okay, so that's the part.
He continued because this is the point. There's been an escalation. And this is, I mean, I looked at the FCC regulations on this, and you can't have. So let's go down. Let's just dissect this real quick. So who made the decision? So Nexstar is a huge broadcasting company. Obviously, Sinclair is a huge broadcasting company. I think Nexstar owns a significant number of conservative sites, TV stations. And Sinclair owns at least a dozen of them. No, a couple of dozen, right, Karen? At least with ABC.
A lot, yes.
With ABC. And they were deeply concerned as for the reasons that Nico brought up, which were business-minded decisions. And the reality is that on an FCC level, you cannot have speech that sort of supports violence in any way. And so in the midst of this investigation, with the furor going around in the country, there could be some leeway here. Carr didn't say he was going after him. And the notion of Cruz coming out and saying these are mafia tactics, I think that's a little much. I mean, he just simply said, let's see. Let's see what happens. So he's not allowed to say that.
We're watching you. I mean, I don't know. I mean, why say it though?
Well, of course he's watching them.
How
That's
long
part
has he
of their
been in
job.
that position?
No, he came in the aftermath of the Trump administration.
Okay, so he wasn't there before.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I'd like to sort of try the neutral line here, because this is what the FCC now, and now we're going to mount a lawsuit on what? So I think just step back here and let's look at the analysis for what actually happened here. They were obviously looking for a reason to get rid of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Look, if this is public airway, I mean, I'm fine with acting in the public interest, which is that standard that I guess they're using. And what does that mean? Who determines what the public interest is? That's why who determines what hate speech is? That's why I'm worried about this. The government. I don't want the government determining anything.
Hold on a second. The FCC has, but wait a minute. Because the FCC has, you asked, unless you're asking rhetorically.
Well, I'm asking both because number one, I would be more concerned. I would be more comfortable if Carr said, "Look, this is a public airway. You have requirements, and you have overwhelmingly allowed one side of a political argument on your show. Make it even." Kind of like with political times, Karen. You know that.
Absolutely.
If a broadcasting, that's why you go to these TV shows or TV anchors. If they give one political opponent,
they have to give the other side exact
equal time.
Right.
Same thing. So I'm okay if you take that position. That's different. But we're saying I'm going to watch your speech and I'm going to be looking over you.
You're pretty consistent about that. I mean, don't just say the right thing. Say it in the way that say it rightly.
Right.
So fair enough. But anyway, I think everybody knows what's going on here. I think this is all much ado about nothing. So I think we need to push back doubly and say, no, we're not. This is really not the time to have a conversation, a debate on free speech. Give me a break here.
But you know who gets the free and the clear and nobody is touching them is the network that fired him. I mean, the whole organization, they get to go hide and put it all on Trump.
Well, they're not doing that, in all fairness. I mean, I'm not defending ABC, but I want to be fair. I mean, they're not saying it's all Trump's fault. They didn't say that.
No, they didn't say anything.
Well, why would they?
Exactly.
Why do you want to say anything? I mean,
exactly.
If somebody else is going to take the heat, so be it. I wouldn't say anything either. They made their decision. The truth is out there. People don't want to listen to it because they're so, they want to make sure the other side's wrong. This is that problem with tribalism, and why that we're going to get to that topic later, why I think it's going to be hard for people to come together. I mean, because I want my side to win no matter what, and people are cheering on like they're cheering on a sports team versus thinking of the unity and the nucleus of this country. But I'm still waiting. I want somebody who disagrees or is angry that I want someone to answer about Tim Walz's COVID snitch line.
That's important.
I want Biden's created fake information list and then had people canceled. I want why Bobby Kennedy, why President Trump was canceled, and why you didn't defend that free speech just because it's speech you don't like. I want to answer on the parents at school boards. I want to answer why people were pushing for conservatives to be fired from Fox, and Tucker actually got fired from Fox, and why they said, well, your sponsorships better drop them. So they're trying to hurt their pocketbook, of course. I want to answer for why it's okay for Biden to work with Facebook to censor only I mean, this is Russia stuff. I mean, so you want to call Trump all these names. Fine, call them, back it up with evidence, and be consistent in your argument. And if you're not, then just say, I'm not consistent. I just say it. And I'll be like, okay, I respect you for being honest. I just want my side to win at all costs. And I don't care if I'm illogical and I'm not going to be consistent. Then I would say, I respect your honesty. And now you're just a hypocrite, but that's fine. You have a right to be a hypocrite.
I don't expect any expression of integrity from the media people. But in terms of the politicos, those are rich. I mean, Chris Murphy, and I was trying to find his quote on here if I can find it.
Who's that?
See if I can find it. He's a senator from Connecticut. He was basically whining the takedown of Jimmy Kimmel was likely the start of a campaign to use the murder of Charlie Kirk as a pretext to use the power of the White House to wipe out Trump's critics and his political opponents.
So see how they're diverting from Charlie's murder?
Those are the
So
headlines.
now we don't want to talk about Charlie's murder. You know why? There's murder. based off
because of who did it.
But they're trying to hype up a bunch of BS and try to find a legal avenue again to go get Trump. Now, again, you ought to go back and research, because this is recent. Murthy versus Missouri. I'm sure Nico knows about this. He's the only real lawyer in the room. But if you go back to Murthy versus Missouri, which was filed in 22 by a bunch of Republican states, they sued social media platforms for censoring a bunch of conservative views during the COVID-19 era. And it was really because there were conspiracy theories about the origin of COVID-19. Turned out not to be so much of a conspiracy.
Sure.
We always doubted the zoonotic origins of the virus here, and always had lots of evidence to believe that this was manufactured in the lab. So setting that aside, and they also censored the COVID-19 lockdowns. So anybody who pushed back on lockdowns was censored. This is an actual lawsuit, and the states were vindicated at the district level. It went to the appellate level. It was vindicated there, and it was ultimately shot down at the Supreme Court in 6-3. And the majority opinion was Amy Coney Barrett, of all people. And the only reason she shot it down, along with the majority, is because it had no standing. To which Thomas and Gorsuch and Alito issued a scathing dissent saying, this is a critical, legitimate free speech issue, reprisals by the federal government that the court should have heard and actually adjudicated on the basis of the merits. So we have lots of documentation in association with this case of only one administration in a recent era. We're not going to get into Obama, like near recent era, going after a conservative speech in a public square. An actual administration using the power of the government to do that. There's no indication of that whatsoever. All of these shills that have their hands up in the air, including Mirth, I didn't hear him complaining at the time.
That's my point. Yeah, that's my point.
It's a legitimate point.
Yeah, well, look, if you're standing on a principle, Karen, it stands the same. That's why I don't mind disagreeing with people on quote unquote my side on due process, because even people I don't like deserve due process. Even speech I don't like deserves to be free. And so these are principles to me, and principles don't give a crap about my feelings. Oops, sorry about that, Kurt. I mean, doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't matter. It's a principle. It doesn't matter. It doesn't look at the other side. Again, remember, Lady Justice wears a blindfold, and so that's why it's got to be covered. Your eyes have to be covered. So that I really don't. It's hard for me to engage in a conversation with anybody that, and I mean this just objectively. It's not hard, but you know what I mean. If they're not going to answer those questions I asked about all these other examples of people on their side doing exactly what they say they don't like being done, and then why they kept their mouth shut or why they're not complaining about it back then. I want to know, or just admit to me, and then we can move on that you don't have a principle on this. You just want to win.
I'm not sliding into the second, topic, but it's kind of like at a hearing asking Kash Patel why he hasn't released the Epstein files when the Democrats had them for the last, several years and didn't release them. It doesn't make sense to me. And do you think people are finally seeing some of these things that are happening and some of these, lies, or I don't even know. I mean, it doesn't make sense why people are still saying, release the Epstein files. You're like, wait a second.
Well, there's a couple of things.
They didn't just appear as soon as Trump became president.
You brought up a lot of things. You brought up a number of things. Number one, I'm going to call the same BS on the left. You guys had the Epstein files for how many years?
Exactly.
You did nothing with it. Okay. So, but the complaint on the right was because you're covering for something. If there's something in there, who believes that nothing happened with Epstein and Janelle and all this other stuff?
Right.
And then the right gets in control and like, oh, there's nothing here. Oh, come on, man. Take it easy. And I look, that's not consistent for me. That's just not.
Maybe they were destroyed though.
Well, then say it. Then say that there was it appears like something was destroyed. Then say that stuff. Be transparent about it. That irritates me. You complain about something from the cheap seats and you're so certain about it. And then you get into the seat, the main seat. And then now all of a sudden it's not there, and the lack of confidence. So I'm not making a final decision on that. It's very inconsistent. And I'm going to call BS where it's BS. And so I think it's unfortunate, but I think for me, since you brought up Kash now, Kash, of course, I liked the way he went at Adam Schiff because I just can't stand that dude. I think he's dishonest. I think he's a hypocrite. I think he's the epitome of deception. The look in his face, he looks like he's lying to himself. I mean, I just have no respect. I think he's immoral. I wish he would repent and and change his ways. And if he wants to talk about faith with me, I'd be happy to do it and not even talk about politics. But aside from that, Cash looked very bad to me, very bad. I think he was embarrassed. He embarrassed himself.
Defensive.
Just bad. He looked defensive. I thought it was ABCD. I mean, man, come on, don't play those games. Look, as much as I can't stand Eric Swalwell, the spy sleeper, but I mean, he was asking a legitimate question. He was asking and yes, he got a little sarcastic because the question wasn't, have you ever talked? I mean, he was using words slow, like, do you hear the words coming out of my mouth, from that movie? And then he goes, what are you going to do? The alphabet? Use all the alphabet, A, B, C, D. I was like, what? Come on, guy, at least be snarky, equally bad. Don't be childish. And it's so defensive. It really looked bad. And then the worst one was when he got impeached with his podcast words. And that, to me, looked horrible.
Can we go into some detail? Because I've only seen the little tiny blurbs every now and then. And I need to start from the beginning, and I need to have y'all explain it to me. Okay, sidebartv.com. Good time to get on right now because we will continue after the show, but we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with more on Sidebar.
San Antonio's news, weather, traffic, plus breaking news 24/7. This is News Radio 1200 WOAI from the GiveMeTheVin.com Sell Us Your Cars studio.
I'm Eric Lycum at News Radio 1200 WOAI. President Trump and Senator Ted Cruz not on the same page when it comes to the commissioner of the FCC. Details coming up first, traffic and weather together.
The WOAI Traffic Center.
I-10 eastbound, the off-ramp towards UTSA Boulevard is closed due to construction. Over on 35 southbound between Olympia Parkway and Loop 1604 got some construction that has the right lane closed. I'm Alexis, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
On our way to 98 sunny, 78 now at the WOAI 24-hour weather center. Our top story. After Texas U.S. Senator Ted Cruz said this about FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr.
I like Brendan Carr. He's a good guy. He's the chairman of the FCC. I work closely with him. But what he said there is dangerous as hell.
President Trump, speaking to reporters in the Oval Office yesterday, said this.
I think Brendan Carr is a great American patriot, so I disagree with Ted Cruz on that.
Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely suspended after Carr pressured Disney and other local broadcasters not to air the late-night show. San Antonio has the third highest poverty rate among metropolitan areas in the U.S., according to data from the U.S. Census Bureau for 2023 and 24. City's current poverty rate stands at approximately 13%, ranking only below Houston and Detroit, but surpassing both the state and national averages. News on demand at WOAI.com. Our next update, top of the hour. Breaking information as it happens. I'm Eric Lycum on San Antonio's news, weather, and traffic station, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
This report is sponsored by Discover. Guess what? Discover's accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. You heard right, 99%. If you don't think so, maybe it's time to face facts. You're stuck in the past. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report, learn more at discover.com/credit card.
He loved his life.
The most important question for everyone in the audience.
He was a great young man.
You got 10 seconds left. You're dying from a gunshot wound.
My husband laid down his life for our nation.
Not how much money you have, not how much good stuff you do.
All of you already know what Charlie would want you to do. You know.
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. This Sunday, join us for the funeral of Charlie Kirk. The most important thing in my faith. News Radio 1200 WOAI.
1200 WOAI. This is Sidebar. Go to sidebartv.com. You can join us after the show where we will continue to stream online. So FBI Director Kash Patel testified more than 4.5 hours before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Faced questions about, I guess, his leadership, about the Epstein files, about Charlie Kirk. And the question I was going to ask you originally is, why was that hearing held anyway? Was there a specific reason? I mean, what was it all about? There was like 100 different topics.
But I think it went into 100 different topics.
Yes.
I don't know what was the original topic
The original
for?
motivation was to really get into the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk murder and sort of talk about that investigation.
But see, why?
That's the thrust. That's kind of
Yeah, and for me, legally, I want to know why the feds are involved in a state murder case. What federal statute was broken? I mean, this is why there's a lot of argument. Why there's a strong argument that the FBI shouldn't even exist. I mean, it's kind of like a federal policing, secret police for J. Edgar Hoover way back when, and it's this federal government should have a policing power federally. I mean, unless you're talking about on
if
basis,
you're talking about a federal hate crime, or
federal hate crime.
I mean,
you're stretching it now.
I'm not suggesting it's a great idea. I'm saying this has been done. It was certainly done by the Biden administration.
Why weren't the feds involved in a lot of other crimes that they left to the states?
Well, I mean, the federal they're actually sure. I mean, if you go back and look at that, and the feds did get involved or intimated they would get involved into looking what was behind the George Floyd.
Yeah, but they didn't do any Senate hearings on it. I mean, look at me. I just want to be consistent.
True enough.
To me, it's like Lady Justice wears a blindfold, and the blindfold. When I was at DA, I wore that blindfold, and so the justice system cannot be politicized. And so again, I'm not saying I support that there shouldn't be an FBI or not. I want to listen to the arguments. There's people that I'm close to that really are passionate about it. Other people have a different opinion, and I'm not saying I've landed anywhere, but I'm just curious why the feds would be involved in a state murder anyway. I mean, they're not prosecuting the case. It's the state DA prosecuting the case. He's been doing all the interviews.
That's so true.
Yeah, well, I mean, so if there's a federal tie, then fine. So there's an argument there. But overall, I don't know. I didn't see the whole. I don't have 4.5 hours to listen to Kash Patel, banter and everybody looking for their little viral video. But the stuff that I did see, like I said, I'll be honest. I liked Adam Schiff, but I'm biased because I liked the way he handled Adam Schiff. But I don't care for Adam Schiff at all as a politician, and he doesn't seem to have good qualities as a person, unfortunately. But aside from that, I think he looked bad.
So a quick meta search. I mean, the oversight. There are routine oversight hearings, Senate oversight committees, House oversight committees that he has to appear, as you know, congressional hearings to basically talk about his performance. I mean, this
was already going to happen regardless of Charlie.
Right. There was an extra impetus, obviously, in the aftermath of Kirk's death, but and a bunch of things came up, and so that included, I think, it kind of took center stage. It did weave off into Epstein, but it took center stage his performance on the aftermath of Charlie's murder. So, and that whole thing's just been kind of weird as well. I mean, to be honest with you, and because Kash was saying how it took a certain number of days. The Boston bomber, and it only took 33 hours or something for
that. Was after they captured the other guy and said that they had a shooter.
Right, and that's thank you. You stole my thunder, but that's exactly right. I mean, what about that? And so he was pressed on that, legitimately so. I mean, he's out there posting,
Kash Patel,
right, saying that they had their man and it wasn't their man, and it was George Zinn, and it was just bizarre. I mean, why are you putting that information out there like that? Like that's your man. Take your time, for goodness sakes, at least take a day.
Yeah.
Get your ducks in a row. Because, immediately, shortly thereafter, he's out there saying, oops, we let him go. I mean, I don't know. It's not a great look. And those are legitimate questions. And then he gets in front of this oversight committee. And to your point, I thought I come across defensive on things I care about, but have something to say. Don't just be defensive because you're trying to hide something or because you're insecure or whatever, or because you feel caught. I think it's totally legitimate, like you said, to impeach him on his comments, or at least try to. I mean, you should own your comments. He could at least say I was wrong.
Yeah, just say I was wrong, and now that I'm in the seat, now that I have full, you're speaking from outside, and I think that's a caution to all of us, me included.
Yeah.
I mean, there could have been a humble but direct and very strong way you could have said it. Is Donald Trump mentioned did you talk to Pam Bondi? He said, I've talked to Pam. I was listening to his answer, and it was very selective. Then Eric Swalwell asked him a very specific question. And then he went into something else. He's like, look, that's why he went into that, is Donald. And he could just said, I think it's been mentioned before that Donald Trump is mentioned, but not tied to any criminal activity. You could have said that. Maybe he was afraid to give a soundbite to somebody, because then people so that's the problem. Everybody's so scared of sound bites. So I'm trying to be fair to Kash, even though I'm not impressed with his performance on these questions. But is it that? Is it because I know you guys want your soundbite? And so I'm not going to do it here, but I don't know how you answer that now that we've gotten into this soundbite world where you're all looking for that. And then you're going, like, I don't know if you saw Pierce Morgan and Don Lemon the other day. Someone sent me that video with them going at each other. And then Don's essentially saying, Pierce, you're looking for your soundbite. And even though I don't like Don Lemon, I was kind of siding with Don Lemon. I mean, I said, man, I thought this was kind of, I've been in those interviews where, and I tell people, I don't care what you ask me. Did you get the questions? No, I didn't get the questions. I don't care. Because if I have a problem, then I'm going to tell you, stay off this for this reason. But I've never done that. But when someone tells you, hey, we're just going to talk about A, B, and C, and then they ask you D and E, well, I don't care that you ask me D and E, but don't be a conniver. And so that was the whole deal there. And so everyone's just worried about that in this day and age. Maybe Cash was worried about a soundbite by saying, Donald Trump is mentioned, but no, and then all it's going to say is Donald Trump is mentioned. Donald Trump is mentioned. I have to leave that as a possibility. Cash can answer for himself. I just don't think it was a good look. And I think you gave a lot of ammunition to the other side.
It started weird, though, even at the
I didn't see the start.
Well, I'm sorry, forgive me. I'm going a little bit before that at the Utah press conference. It was just weird to me.
What did he talk about?
I mean, he was there with the state's governor, Spencer Cox, right in the aftermath. And, of course, it's real somber. And what does he say? To my friend, Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch now. He says, and I'll see you at Valhalla. And I thought, if you're concerned about sound, so imagine this for a moment. If you're concerned about sound bites, that would be a really good time to be concerned about sound bites. The whole world's watching. So you've got a Hindu dude speaking to a
Christian,
a deceased, devout Christian, in front of a Mormon governor. None of them are soldiers.
To an atheist crowd.
It's a sitcom. It's a sitcom, right?
None of them are soldiers. Invoking a mythical heaven.
Is that what that is?
For Norse warriors. Yeah.
Mythical. That's a mythical heaven.
It's Nordic mythology.
It's not even. It's not even
Thor.
It's not even part of Hinduism.
It's
Hinduism.
A
gamer thing.
Odin and Thor and Asgard. Right. So I'm just thinking.
That's stupid.
Okay. But others have asked the same question. Does he really have the watch? I mean, dude.
What watch he has?
So
Mario Brothers.
Cash is enormously talented. I mean, he has the bona fides. He does. He knows
bona fides.
He just knows. He knows how to respond to things well if he wants to. He's educated. He's informed. I mean, he has such raw talent. But there's just such a
that was weird at the press.
He just totally lacked composure.
I didn't know what the hell that was.
That was just cognitive dissonance. I mean, it's like, dude, do you not see
the room in that one?
Do you not see how absurd that is? Come on, I mean, people have no idea.
How do you pronounce that?
What?
Valhalla.
Valhalla. Valhalla. VALHALLA.
10 years from now, I'm going to see that piece of paper that you're writing on Nico.
Valhalla. I'm trying to figure. And remember, I don't even want to know how to pronounce that.
But it's kind of funny though, because you remember, how long has Trump been in office? 7 months or something? Do you remember 7 months ago or whenever he was elected, everybody was like, it's so great that Trump is actually letting people talk. Before, he was the face, he was the voice. No, everyone stood behind him. Everyone just shook their head yes. And now he's letting all of these people talk. Elon Musk, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and all of them are kind of stumbling.
I wouldn't say all of them. I think Pete Hegseth has found his footing. Marco Rubio is
he's the exception.
J.D. Vance is excellent. I mean,
Scott Bessent,
forget about it.
As well.
I mean, a lot of these guys. I mean, so he's got a great lineup with him. There's like this little section over here. It's like, I don't know about this though. I don't know about this section.
But sometimes when you're given that much power, you stumble because you're not used to it, maybe, or on that level.
I don't know, but everybody's been in. I think he chose everybody because they've been in the media before, because they can banter back and forth, because they can answer questions, because they can be good surrogates, because he can't answer all the questions, although whether you like him or not, that guy's the most available, transparent as transparent as any president can be, just answering questions on the fly without, any teleprompters and people yanking you off stage because you're walking into the wilderness or waving at.
Or looking through a notebook.
Yeah, or waving at imaginary people and shaking the air.
I'm more concerned about what's going on the inside. I read a piece by the New York Times.
Inside of what?
Nobody's refuted it. On what's going on the inside right now with Patel and Bongino, and just in terms of some leadership stuff that I thought was just weird. I mean, of course, Karen already talked about the detraction. He comes out and says, we have the suspect in the Charlie Kirk murder, and literally 2 hours later he retracts
it. That was so bad.
It just seemed kind of amateurish. And then the next morning, I think that's right. I think that's what the New York Times said. I think he literally convened a bunch of agents in Salt Lake City, and he chewed him out with Bongino and chewed him out for taking nearly 12 hours to show him a picture of Tyler Robinson. He was. I mean, and from the reports, the F word was rather frequent. He constructed a whole sentence out of it. But the point is, it was that type. It was that type of meeting. And then he offered $100,000 reward, et cetera.
But I don't mind that tough talk if it's warranted. That's all I'm saying.
No, I'm saying is set an example. You're the guy that was out there, and then you retracted within 2 hours, and then you're busting nuts because they didn't give you a picture of Tyler Robbins. Oh,
slow down and ask him
it's
first
a leadership thing.
Yes,
it's not that there isn't legitimate concern, but how about a mirror? A little humility. I don't know. I just starting to see more and more reports of this, and it concerns me.
Sometimes I've been wondering, why is this investigation more in-depth than the Butler investigation? Okay, we are going to take a break right now, and we're going to wrap it up. One more segment, but that means you need to get online. Sidebartv.com, find your platform and get ready, because the show continues after the show. We'll be right back.
With reputations as respected high-level prosecutors in Bexar County, the attorneys of LaHood Norton Law Group bring invaluable practical knowledge from the other side of the aisle, using over 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome.
I'm Nico LaHood with LaHood Norton Law Group. Have you been arrested or accused of a crime? The LaHood Norton Law Group has the knowledge to defend you regardless of how small or large your case. In Bexar County, anywhere in the state, or even nationwide, we have the knowledge to defend you in federal or state court, no matter how small or large your case. We are trial lawyers with proven success.
Using their 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate for their clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome. The LaHood Norton Law Group. For a free consultation, call today, 210-797-7700, 210-797-7700, LaHoodNorton.com.
This is Nico LaHood. If you or a loved one has been arrested or accused of a crime, we can help.
LaHoodNorton.com.
1200 WOAI. This is Sidebar. Go to sidebartv.com. Please consider becoming a contributor. We would really appreciate any help that you can give us.
Or sponsor, right? You got to talk about that at some point.
Absolutely.
We're going to put together maybe sponsor, like businesses that want to sponsor us.
I'm putting together stuff right now. If you own a business,
pressure,
seriously, and every single break, Salo has had it up as a little banner that if you have a business and would like to become a contributor, even if it is once, that's great. If it's monthly, that's even better. You can contact me or Salo. We are here, and you can contact me through iHeart. And so here we are.
They can meet you in Valhalla.
Valhalla. I never had heard that word.
Stupid.
I thought it was some religious thing.
Ridiculous. I can't get over that because I didn't know what the hell he said when he said it. I said, "What's that?" And then thanks for educating me about that insanity. Go ahead.
No, I'm just. We're back to square one, I feel like, sometimes, because even though Trump is in office, and believe me, it hasn't even been a year, and he's doing a fantastic job, but I feel like there's still this out of control part of the administration where the fake news continues, the lies continue, and it's just a constant beat down. So there's the left, there's the right, there's the far left, there's the far right. And so what is the middle ground? Is there going to be a middle ground? When will that ever happen? Do you think
middle
it
ground
will?
What, Karen? Middle
America.
Ground what? Well, I mean, I think we agree on more things than we disagree on. And you really have to think about what we've seen here and this tribalistic mentality that we've seen. And I heard someone talking about it. I thought it was interesting. It caught my attention. I don't know who he was, but he had a bunch of views on this. He talked about that there's, first of all, to create a tribalistic mentality between a society, you have to isolate people, and we were isolated. And then you have to create these echo chambers. And it happens on both sides. And I'm not trying to be that dude. I'm just being honest. It happens on both sides where everybody's a demon on the other side and everyone's a demon on the other side because everybody is given the third step he was talking about is isolation, echo chamber, and tribal script. Everybody gets their script, us versus them, good versus evil. And then everybody defines what definitions of good and evil is. My definition is a biblical definition. I don't have my own definition. I don't have an opinion. My opinion is God's opinion. Period, end of story. But that's how you do it. And so when you get this isolation, when you get this echo chamber, nobody wants to talk to anybody else. That's why free speech and conversations, what Charlie was trying to do, is so important. And then you're given this script that no matter what, all Republicans are this, or all Democrats are this, or all Christians are this, or all atheists are this, then you create this tribal mentality where if you're not part of my tribe, I don't care. And no one in my tribe can do anything wrong. That's where we're at. So how do you get past that? I don't know to be the answer. To me, the only answer is Christ. That's it. Period. End of story. And if you truly properly handle those scriptures and you're real and raw about it, and you're not this fake ass kumbaya Christian, but you're someone that really understands the scripture and is bold and brave about it, but also gracious and humble. How do you do that without the Holy Spirit? But that's the only way. In Philippians 2:14 says that divided line, these two groups become one in Christ. So the scriptures talk about this. I think that there is an objective truth. We have to learn how to talk about it. We have to learn to listen to people. We have to learn, and this is the key. And if you want to have a goal, our goal has to be civil disagreement. That has to be our goal. Not that I have to get someone to agree with me.
So
I want to do that.
That's simple.
I want to do that. Yeah. But you know whose team I'm on? I'm on someone's team who believes in civil disagreement. And that's why consistently I've been a supporter, so to speak, of Bill Maher. I disagree with the vast majority of what he says and the positions he takes. But he's had Charlie Kirk on his show. He's had every Republican, J.D. Vance, Vivek Ramaswamy, everybody's, and he went to dinner with Donald Trump and he took heat from his side for it. That's Bill Maher. That's why I support Bill Maher, because he believes in civil disagreement. That's our goal. We're not going to agree on a lot of things right now, Karen, because we've demonized each other. That's the problem. Unless Russia, or unless we had, God forbid, another 9/11, then nobody would give a crap about your opinion. We'd just be surviving. So let's survive. Let's create a safe environment for our children. Let's have a safe border. Let's have civil disagreement where you can share your thoughts and have free speech. There's certain things that our founding fathers believed in that undergirded our foundation. We have to get back to the basics and create civil disagreement, which is what the Constitution supports.
Yeah, but I think we need to do what you intimated to, that at the end of the day, and we talked about it on R-Rated Christianity, we got competing worldviews here. Yep. And it's not, and when you say the majority of people, it's interesting because I'm trying to look for, just polling that supports that, because I have my opinions, I know you have yours, and I think we share some views, but I'm looking for some objective data that suggests that in fact the majority of America is on board with these ideas. And I guess I'm at a maybe.
What
right
idea
now.
is that?
The idea is that
do you want your children to be safe? Yes. Do you want the economy to be good? Yes. Do you want foreign countries to take us over? No. I mean, I guarantee you, if we get into this, and I've been to a lot of political rallies, debates, I've been into town hall meetings, and I'm not trying to say you don't know what I know. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying, when you really get down, if you meet someone in line at HEB and you're not wearing a shirt that says where you're at, and I always wear my Jesus is King shirts, so I'm always wearing my faith, But if you just have conversation with people, you'd be surprised what you just have wonderful conversations about life and kids and family.
But you distilled it down to those types of, considerations.
Right.
That's not happening. A lot of people don't.
I understand.
Okay,
but if you can peel down to that point, you get there.
You've got a worldview that's based on sheer hatred. So when you sheer hate, you don't need to think. In other words, why do I need to think through these things in detail if the other guy's evil?
That's right.
I mean, am I going to reason with Hitler? Yep. Am I going to reason with Stalin? No, I'm not going to reason with them. I'm going to find the quickest and probably least expensive way to make them disappear. So my point is that I think the conversation now really gets down to worldview, to help. And I do believe, and we've talked, the church should take a leading role in this.
I agree.
Because, come on, who better equipped should it be than pastors, church leaders, Christian church leaders, to come out and say, hold up a second. Why did America thrive for so long? Why is it, in fact, that we were able to work through some significant moral, political problems in the country that Democrats and Republicans ultimately could come and gather together around that majority of agreement? And all this fighting was on the fringe, when in fact we have a reversal of that right now, where what defines American political discourse is the fringe. What used to be previously fringe, but that's not fringe. It just isn't. It occurs to me in 2010, the Gallup poll, and this is nationally, Gallup poll did an analysis that just asked to see how comfortable Americans were with the notion of socialist communist ideas. And at that time, Democrats were +7. The poll was just done recently. They're 37, a 500% increase in 15 years. Okay? And And so when you consider what's at the root of socialism, communism, and all the related isms like Marxism, and yes, ultimately fascism, true fascism, this is a crushing of dissent. That's at the heart of that. It is an atheistic anti-God. It is decidedly anti-American because it is not constitutional. It doesn't believe in representative government. Okay. It believes in crushing dissent. That is at the heart of the view, the worldview. And like we talked about on R-Rated, there is a God in those isms, and it isn't the God of the universe. It isn't Yahweh. Okay. It isn't Jesus Christ. There is sin. Yeah. Not original sin. Not the notion that all men are sinful at birth, right? None of that. Sin is basically external. Do you side with the right issue? That either makes you redeemable or not. And so we need to get down to this level, because until we start doing that, I just don't see us getting America back. And that worries me.
George, I don't mean to be naive with what I'm about to say, but I keep on thinking that maybe the divide isn't as big as it feels like, because the fake news, the media continues to only report on one side, and the headlines are constantly against the right. It feels that way. So could it be that
we're... It feels like it is that way. I mean,
exactly.
So she's looking at data. Forget about our opinion.
Could we be closer than we think we are on coming together with some sort of close to this divide?
Well, look, I'm a hopeful person, because I know who wins in the end, and my goal is eternity in heaven. So I'm not, this scripture says this world is going to be tough. James 1:2-4, Romans 5:3-5, 2 Corinthians 4:17. I mean, it's all over the place. Who said we're signing up? This is a full contact sport in the sense of battling for ideas and faith and all that things. And so that's why, to your point, Karen, if the FCC could focus on anything, back to what his name was, Carr, it acting in the public interest would be making sure that both sides' opinions get out there. I mean, if the FCC could focus on one thing, focus on making sure that you hold these broadcasters accountable for making sure that both sides get equal airtime, and let people have informed consent. I truly, whether it's medical freedom, whether you're going to take a shot, or whether you're going to do any type of medical intervention, or whether it's political or whatever it is, I believe in informed consent, but not your definition of informed. Because how about all these people on social media during COVID that were misinformation gurus? What happened to those people? Were any of those people fired? Because they were all wrong. And see, that's my problem. It's all about the definitions. And that's why I'm concerned that if because quote unquote, we're in control for now, and I'll have to put that in there, and then we get to define the definitions, and then the other side gets to be careful who defines the definitions. That's important.
Right.
But now if we agree on definitions, that's where persuasion comes in. This country was founded off the idea that you have free thought, free expression of that thought, and that the best idea wins. Ironically, university means what? Unity and diversity. We don't see that anymore. University. So I wish the FCC, and yes, I am hopeful, by the way, Karen, but I wish the FCC would worry about that more instead of worrying about, hate speech and all this other stuff, whatever. Just give both sides equal opportunity. Let people educate themselves because they have the information presented to them, and then they can make up their own decision. And the church needs to stand up. The big C church. There's a lot of small C churches that are doing a great job. But the big C church should step in the gap. There's a void here. Haven't you seen it? People are interested in talking about having faith discussions, and we should have those discussions. And so Charlie modeled that. And so all this stuff where they call him a racist. I mean, we talked about this on R-Rated with Pastor Marquise and Pastor Maurice, Pastor Momo. But I'd say that to him jokingly. But I mean, Mo, we were there and we talked about, are these allegations that certain people in the church about Charlie? That he wasn't. There's no objective evidence. Yeah. That he was a racist, and that's slander, and that's terrible to say about somebody, especially since he can't defend himself.
Charlie went to the implication of what people believed.
Yes,
and then he talked about politics.
Play it out.
I thought exactly. Yep. It was brilliantly done. He talked about this. This is a soulish corruption issue. There's something wrong with how you think, and he would say that to his philosophical opponents. Prove me wrong. There's something wrong with how you think. Not you. You're a precious image bearer in God's image. But there's something really wrong with how you think. And your thoughts have serious consequences for America. And we got to get back to philosophy. The church should take a leading role in this. And I hope it does.
Yeah, like I said, Karen, as we wrap up, and look, guys, jump on the after show. We'll continue to talk about this. We'll look at your comments. We'll talk more about it. We'll engage with you for another 30 minutes or so. But ideas have consequences, and not all ideas are the same. We can talk about. That's why I've said this for how long, Karen? I mean, let's quit worrying about the label and let's talk about the idea. Because the tribalism mindset, we worry about the label, and then you look at the label, and then all of a sudden you turn your ears off, and that's dangerous. So thank you guys for joining us. Please join in, jump on sidebartv.com or go to where we're on social media, and we're going to continue this conversation. Share these conversations with someone you think may benefit from it. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate your support and watching us. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.
The preceding show was paid for by the
Okay, guys. This is the after show.
We're
okay.
back
What? Yes, we are back on.
Talk about.
Well, just talking about how this is. I was just talking to Karen about how we see this playing out in places like Chicago. You got Brandon Johnson over there, who is just an utter communist, and you got Lauren Bass, as a mayor of San Francisco, who has. I mean, this is well documented. She's just enamored with the Castro system of governance. That's always a good sign. And then you've got Mamdani, of course. I mean, what's happening in New York should concern everyone, it seems to me. I mean, how is it that? I mean, think about that. You got 50% from the latest numbers that I've seen, and it's higher in some. 50% of New York City's voters.
Yeah, he's not falling apart.
Okay, and this is the problem now. It's not just Democrats. Democrats are leading the way, of course, on this, but it's not just Democrats. But all voters are going to vote for a man who explicitly calls for the elimination of private property. I mean, he's not
But how is
dancing
that
around
happening?
the edges. He's blunt about it. That's communism. I don't care what PolitiFact says. That's absolute communism. And then the global intifada stuff should strike chills, down the necks of every Jew who's voting for him, because there are Jews that are voting for him. The global intifada, I mean, the extermination of Jewish people. Good idea. That sounds very wholesome, totally constitutional. I mean, come on. This is my point. The American educational system has created a group, a significant voting block of complete effing idiots. They hear terms like socialism and they literally think that's a positive, wonderful thing. It's equality. We're sort of all in this together and we just all take care of each other. And
It's almost too hard
all
for me
those
to believe.
nasty billionaires aren't there. It's now everybody gets to be a billionaire, or nobody gets to be a billionaire, but we all just miraculously have what we want, right? As if those people that are doing the work are going to be okay with you taking their shit.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that works in their minds, but this is the numbnuts mentality that we are not just creating in the American public school and also American universities, but we're subsidizing this crap. Do you have any idea what our student loan debt is? It's around $2 trillion.
It's a bunch.
So do you see what's happening? So we got to really step back and say, at the end of the day, this is a mental deficiency. And I don't mean literally cognitive. I'm talking about philosophical. Our people don't know what they believe. They believe the wrong things. And with great passion, a significant block of them. Democrats are leading the way with this cancerous mentality. And so I ask you, those are a series of ideas. As I always say, how do you fight a bad idea?
With a good one.
But
you have to have the freedom to share it. It's the problem.
And the platform.
That's why
I
don't.
Money and
all
on
this,
and on.
I don't. You can spread misinformation. Just allow the opposing information to be out there. That's how you find. Look, if during COVID, if there wasn't so much censorship, and remember, Karen, back then I said I'm more worried about the censorship than anything else. None of this crap would have happened.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for people like Joe Rogan that broke through and started pushing, what, Joe Rogan? As if Joe Rogan is the mediator of free speech. But thank God he used his platform appropriately. And then that all it takes is one person. Well, I was thinking that anyway. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say, and then you see this snowball. I mean, I can't tell you how many videos of people from bigger and smaller influences. There's one guy, he just came up, I guess, on a feed. He's a workout dude, a fitness guy. And he's saying, look, I'm going to just tell you things. The time to be silent is over. And he happens to be black because, and you just go, I'm probably going to lose some people, but I really don't care. And he put on Make America Great hat again. Because that's where I'm at, guys. You want to unfollow me, unfollow me. And I was like, damn. I mean, then other people, so people are speaking out.
I've seen that a lot too.
Yes. And you know what? And someone disagrees, you share your disagreement. That's fine. So I'm just a free speech guy, man. And so that's why the FCC, that kind of veiled threat, and then Pam Bondi saying that we're gonna go after hate speech. I'm like, ooh, it just made me.
Yeah, go back in the back, Pam. Get out of here.
Well, it just
that was bizarre.
It paused me. I mean, I'm concerned about that.
Yep. And you legit. It's about a quarter, about 25% of Democrats today who want, shall I say, a normal candidate, a candidate that we would simply say is conciliatory. In other words, willing to change his mind.
Right.
Good debate. May believe in the classical liberal aspirations of the party. Genuinely concerned about the marginalized and the downtrodden in society. I don't criticize that. I believe that those were legitimate. If I had to pick a favorite other than John F. Kennedy, I'll say the late Daniel Patrick Moynihan. I thought he was, you want to see what I mean by a classical liberal? Study him. I thought he was fantastic.
How do you spell his last name?
Daniel Patrick Moynihan, I think. Moynihan. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought.
Dan, and that Juan? That name Juan?
Moynihan. But think about that now. I mean, and you've seen it. I mean, Nico talks about Newsom and concern about Newsom, but Newsom dies at the national level.
Well, you hope.
And it's interesting. Well,
Pritzker, you think Pritzker's any better?
His polling's
yeah, no, I'm saying, is he any better? It doesn't matter. Newsom or Pritzker, they're all the same shit to me.
Help me analyze this, because you can appreciate his talent, and he clearly has political talent. I'm not saying he doesn't.
Newsom?
Yeah. Great hair, great political talent. Fine. But those things are not going to help, and I don't think. And here's why. I mean, am I the only one that's noticed an almost 180 from earlier this year when he was sort of wading out into the political waters? I mean, he began the year sitting down with conservatives. Remember
With
that?
Charlie, he had Charlie on the show.
Exactly, on his new. That's what I was going. I mean, anyone more conservative than Charlie?
Yeah.
And he's dropping hints that he was actually reasonable. He's a moderate guy on trans issues. What happened? What a shitstorm came his way. It was an avalanche of criticism. And what did he do? All of a sudden he became like the Trump version.
Yes, exactly. That's
why is that?
That's right.
What does that tell you?
Yeah.
The Democrat Party, okay, is all in on this crazy worldview. Yes, can you believe it? That we should not ban biological men from women's sports. Yes, I'm sorry. The base of the party is still there. They still believe that it's not a great idea to get rid of criminal illegal
I don't know about
aliens. It's the 80-20.
Have you? You're the polling guy in our group. So have you on Democrats? Not in primaries. The primaries are when the kooks on both sides come out, right? And I guess I'm a kook because I vote in primaries. But I'm just saying, I'm so. Out of all Democrats, is there polling on how many of them really support biological men in female sports? Because you go on the south and west side in this town.
I don't know that there's a reliable poll.
Okay,
on
well then
Democrats in general. I'm focusing on the leadership.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm talking about Democrats. I'm talking about voters because you go to the south and west side here and the east side.
Brother, what I'm saying, what we do know is that when the leadership, do you remember Chuck Schumer's 5 seconds of reasonableness? Right around.
I don't remember it. You've got to remind me. I don't.
Was going to shut down the government, and they almost nearly impaled him for being somewhat reasonable on this. I mean, anytime I'm telling you,
that tribalism.
Exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right. Except there is a nucleus that is no longer fringe. That's my proposition here, and you're seeing it. You're kind of seeing it in the polls. And you're right on that specific issue. I don't know that there is I'll research further.
Yeah,
I have not seen it. I stay on top of this.
But I don't think it's there. That's what I'm saying.
Not on that particular issue.
Yeah. But where does that issue lie versus other issues? That's the key. Because then you start prioritizing your issues. Remember, I was saying during the election, I'm almost a single issue voter.
Yep.
It's the border. Without the border, my opinion on marriage and abortion and capitalism and this and that and foreign affairs, none of it matters because we're going to be overtaken.
We can only back into it through the 2024 election. We saw the dividing line among the majority of Democrats who obviously didn't vote for Donald Trump. And he did peel off some moderates. And there are moderates in the Democrat Party.
Yep.
My point is, they don't lead the roost. They don't move the needle. Now, on tiny little margin elections, yeah, they can decide. But the problem with moderates is that they, at the end of the day, what they care most is about hating Donald Trump, while at the same time engaging in cognitive dissonance, forgetting that this is a party that thinks, Charlie called it, thinks assassination culture is not so bad. It's okay. 48% of them, it's okay to wipe out Elon Musk, 55% for Donald Trump. Okay. I mean, you just dismiss that kind of stuff. And that's my point. It's tribalistic, but I just want to
those hold on, because you mentioned that poll last week. So 48% of all Democrats?
The Network Contagion Research Institute. Wow. Yes, 48%
of all Democrats.
Of Democrats, that's correct.
And 55% of all Democrats believe 48% for Elon.
Yes.
And 55%.
That is correct.
Of Democrats said it was okay to assassinate Donald Trump.
That is correct. If you want a better poll that makes you feel a little bit better, you can go to the YouGov poll that was just released, and they put that at about 35%.
Okay, well, that's still the same. Okay, well, hold on, but
go ahead.
In that same poll, did they ask them if it's okay to assassinate their political leaders?
No.
Well, no. I mean, that's got to be asked. I mean, that has to be asked to me. That wasn't asked?
Of course, brother.
Well, I mean, that's,
one is more generic.
That's
they're
insane.
okay.
That's insane.
That they're okay with that.
Karen,
It's terrifying is what it is.
Terrifying. Yeah, of course it is. That's terrible.
So Charlie cited that poll when he had that in mind. And this was very recent when he was talking. And he's the one that really branded the term assassination culture.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, he really branded that. And I think that's very well said.
And they polled all Democrats?
Yes,
that's great. I mean, I don't know. I guess I didn't pay attention. I mean, I heard it, but I didn't pay attention. That's very disturbing. 55%.
Yep.
That's crazy.
So that's what you're dealing with.
So it's a legitimate question. Should we be concerned?
Well, the language isn't changing. I mean, the language, when you're listening to people talk today, now they want to brush over Charlie. Again, I'm going to keep saying it. Be careful of the world you help create, because someday you may have to live in it. This is, we have to course correct. That's why, I wish all, political violence is never justified, except, no, that should be the leading discussion. If this poll is wrong, then it needs to be called out. If it's anywhere close to being right, whether it's 35% or 55% or whatever it is, that's insane. We are morally bankrupt in this country. And I don't know, what is it on the Republican side? Was it 10% or 8%?
Shall I quote it?
Please.
Yeah, please.
55% of Democrats believe assassinating Donald Trump or Elon Musk is somewhat justified. 55% of people who self-identify as left of center. So we're not just talking about, BLM and Antifa. Plenty of average Democrats believe that killing Trump or Elon Musk would be at least somewhat justified. In other words, if they lose an election. Yes, that's an actual poll. And they wouldn't be, and it goes on to say, they wouldn't be unhappy if someone took out their political opponents with a bullet. And the piece, so besides, it's been reported, in case you can't find the poll, I have the poll, I can send it to you. But there's a piece on hotair.com about it, and there's a piece on thefederalist.com. And
it's a Republican.
Avail yourself.
I want to hear what the Republicans are. What do they say? What the Republicans say on the
Did
poll?
they poll Republicans on what they believe?
I'm trying to make a distinction. That's why.
Oh yeah, Republicans are in the the far right are in the 4 to 5 to 6%.
Well, you said far right. You said all Democrats, all Republicans. What is it? Did they look at that?
No. There's the Republicans. The Republican base is not. I'm being base to base.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
But you said all Democrats when you said far right. I don't know why.
So they
why'd you make
questioned
that
Democrats and they said 55%.
Why'd you make that distinction?
Well, because we know that. We know that there's no one who is openly calling for that considers himself a Republican. If somebody can find one example.
No, I got it. But
that's what I'm saying. That dynamic
did they poll all Republicans?
They polled Republicans.
Okay, just okay. And what was it you said? What was do you know the percentage?
Yeah, I think the highest that I saw was 7%.
7%.
Yes.
And they didn't tie it to, and they said political violence in general.
Political violence.
Okay, but let's play that out. So let's test that theory. So after George Floyd, what happened? Everything. What happened after Charlie Kirk? And look, they're both valued and they both have the Imago Dei in them. So I'm not saying, but to the left, George Floyd represented something, not someone. He wasn't known. Yeah. To the right, Charlie Kirk was actually a big deal, and he was pushing, all that stuff. They're both valued equally under God. Don't get me wrong, because they're image bearers. But my point is, and then there's been nothing but prayer vigils. The only violence on the right has been if a protester came to a prayer vigil and then somebody finally had the balls to knock their shit around and push them away. That's it. That's the only violence. There's been no violence. There's been no burning. There's been nothing. So I'm saying is that poll, unfortunately, plays out in what we've seen. We have an experiment of that poll. Because, I'm always leery of polls. Like, how do you ask the question? What's your polling sample? Yeah. What did you ask? How'd you ask the question? Because it's just, polls. If we doubted polls during the election, then I'm still doubting polls. I don't not doubt them when they suit me better. We're cautious on all polls. But this plays out. This is a stark difference. And you're seeing a stark difference in disappointment and rage and outrage on both sides. You're seeing, boom, the left, and then you've seen the right. And you have people like Kamala Harris that weren't calling for nonviolence or saying they're understanding it, and they're actually raising money to bail people out for committing crimes. And then on the right here, you have nothing, literally nothing, not one incident that I've seen other than, knocking someone around because they're so disrespectful to interfere with a vigil or a prayer vigil or something like that. Look, that's a reality, and that you do what you want with that. But those are the facts. I don't know how you're going to twist that around, Alamo Talk and my brothers out there that we disagree with. But I don't know. That's just, it is what it is. And you can justify it all you want. And where do you come back from that? Because then here's the problem. If this is the rules of engagement, then it becomes king of the mountain. Then there is no peace. Then it's like, okay, well, forget about working on your debate style. Let's go train. which I
Right.
train anyway. But I mean,
Right.
and I advocate that anyway. But that's then it's going to be a war where I'm not going to talk with you. There's not going to be no negotiating. There's not going to be any persuasion. It's just going to be combat. That's horrible.
Yeah.
This country's done. If we're there, this country's done. I'm telling you right now. And that's what concerns me. That's what worries me. For my children and my grand, look, the good Lord gives me, shoot, all it takes is 4 days before anything can go to hell in a handbasket. But if I have 40 years, God, I'm blessed. But we're not promised tomorrow. I'm not saying too much, but a friend of ours, we just found out yesterday that a friend of ours passed away. Life is fragile. If life is fragile. And honestly, I don't think it would have been the same effect with Charlie's passing if it wasn't in front of everybody's face. Because we're so used to hearing evil, and we're hearing reports. But then when you see it, like I see it all the time, when I tell people, it's different. It does something different to you.
It changes you.
Well, it has to. Or you're just a cold-hearted prick on either side. It doesn't matter. If you don't care about life, if someone's pure evil, like I don't think Gavin Newsom is pure evil. I just don't. I don't think. I would love to talk with him. I'm glad he had Charlie on the show. It's a shame that he's too scared to stand against his party. Bill Maher's not afraid to stand against him, but Bill Maher wouldn't be voted into office. He's a commentator. He's not a politician. Things change when you're on the stage for politics versus commentary. So good for Bill Maher that he's not afraid to push back. I wish more people were like him. I wish more politicians were like him. I wish Bill Maher was the Charlie Kirk version of the Democrats to get them to think more like him and to have civil disagreement and to agree when you can and passionately disagree when you need to. That's it. I'm not afraid to agree with the other side, quote unquote, because my side is the side of good, logical, common sense ideas, which I believe are biblically based. But I'm not afraid to side with somebody, that is on the other tribe. So I don't know. That's concerning to me. I didn't realize it was 7% versus 48 to 55%.
I have the poll here in front of me. On one sample, it went as high as 14%.
On the Republican side?
That is correct. On one sample.
14%.
So let's just lay them all out there.
Yeah.
I went general. Let's go specific.
Okay.
On one sample,
did they have a person?
Percent of those that said partially justified or more, 14%. And then on Musk.
Okay.
And then on Trump, it was 20% of self-identifying Republicans.
So
What?
Republicans
So
thought it was
samples-
okay. 20% of Republicans said it was okay.
People
to use,
who are center-right. In other words, right of center.
yeah, I know, but
Sorry.
they could use political violence against a
Justification for murder is the way it was termed.
the fuck is wrong with people?
I agree.
Jeez, that's ridiculous.
So it's 50, and the number,
Republicans-
and I rounded down, they rounded up, but I don't know why they're rounding a 0.4 down, but whatever. Or up.
Zero
But
surprise, by the way.
56% those who are left of center to murder Trump. 20% of those who are right of center.
Well, then hold on. But if
All
20% are okay with murdering Trump, then they're way okay with on the Democrat side. So that 20% is higher on Republican side if violence on Democrats. Did they ask about a Democrat
That's
candidate?
what I wanted to know.
Did they ask Republicans about a Democrat candidate? That's what I want to know.
Oh, this was particularly on Elon Musk and Donald Trump.
That didn't do me any good. But it sucks. But for Republicans, for Trump, like 20% of
We
my
wanted
people.
like Nancy Pelosi.
Well, you
or
want to know
Schiff in there.
someone on that side,
Right.
Because I bet that's higher than 20% on Republicans, and that tells you the moral rot of
That
society in general.
is fact.
Political violence
Yeah.
is never justified, ever. I don't give a shit who it's against. Never justified, ever. Violence is justified in defending yourself or a third person, and I believe that's biblically sound, and it's by the penal code, legally sound. But political violence based off ideas, no, that's never justified. Not just on politics, the politique you're advocating. So that's higher on the Republican side.
So the objective of the poll, which I think goes back to how we got into this, is that they were looking to see if psychological or philosophical or ideological worldviews or sentiments or convictions, if that correlated with assassination culture. And they found that the beliefs, this is the point, the worldview is highly correlated with one another. And then, of course, with the justification of murder and so forth. And there were other figures that showed up on the poll, Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO, killing by Luigi Mangione, who was a far left lunatic, if you remember that. The
Yes.
killing of
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. So what
So
was that?
And then there's
What did they say on the both sides, Republicans and Democrats on that one?
no,
Did
I mean,
they-
if Democrats are, I thought again, this was
Same percentages or more?
I'll break it down to his data table.
Well, then what
but-
did the Republicans say about it? I mean, that's insane. But
Oh,
they didn't ask the Republicans about a Democrat?
brother,
That's
I'll
a
try to find
biased
it.
poll.
I'll try to find it.
Well,
Well,
I'm just saying. I mean, how do you not ask Republicans about a Democrat?
well, it's not a bias if they're telling you what the objective is of the poll. I mean, they're just simply
Well, yeah,
saying.
but if you're talking about ideas, Republicans disagree with the ideas of the Democrats. Well, then
Okay.
do they justify her harm against Democrats?
It's hard to find people who are more well known than an Elon Musk and a Donald Trump.
Okay.
I mean, is there anyone in the world, maybe
But they're
some
both
pygmy
considered on the
tribes,
right.
but is there anyone
Obama?
who doesn't know about
Yeah.
them?
People know about Obama.
But
People know about Biden.
Obama's,
I understand that, but he's a figure that's known, that's on the quote unquote others. I just want to know what the ideology is. Because if someone on the right says political violence is not acceptable unless it's against someone I don't like, well, then you really don't believe it, that political violence is not acceptable. I want to test the theory that political violence is not acceptable. So I wish this poll would have asked Republicans about a very prominent figure on the left. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll go back to the data tables and see if that was part of the consideration.
Okay,
they had
thank you.
they had a generic value that put it, which is way too high. That generally the numbers around 38 to 39% when everybody's included are okay with exacting political violence.
When you
or
combine
physical
Democrats and Republicans?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, but it sounds like the Democrats
Yes.
are more, except
Right,
so that 38% is
Sure. This is
heavier
why
on
in
the-
statistics we would say the median is clearly being
Okay, this is
swerved
where
by
this is where
Democrats.
the churches have to wake the hell up and grow a pair of balls.
No
So-
kidding.
Grow church bells. Grow some church bells and get out there and start preaching and be bold about it. And teach your people. Don't speak at them. Speak with them. Teach them. Raise them up. Educate them. Properly handle the word of truth. Take tough topics. They need answers and change their heart. And don't teach them to be, doormats. No one's a piñata just because you're a Christian. You don't get a free swing. But I'm not going to throw the first swing, in the sense that you got to teach people, change hearts and minds. There has to be a true transformation. Romans 12:2 says, do not conform to the patterns of this world. And this is the pattern, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And then you read on from verse 3 all the way down. It gives you example after example about what a renewed mind is. And something in Romans 12, I think it's 18, it says, as far as it lies within your power, be at peace with all men. Well, as far as I want peace, I want conversation. But you come to hurt my family, one of us is going away in a body bag. Period. End of story. And I wouldn't lose a wink of sleep over that. But before that, before you bring that violence, let's talk. Let's have it as far as it lies within your power, be at peace. I love that. That's all a renewed mind. And it's all there in Romans 12:2. So that's where the churches have to stand up and start preaching and teaching the gospel, because who else is going to do it? There's a vacuum out there and people are making up their own moral standards. That's evil. That's good. That's bad. Says who? You don't want God to give you the definition of good and bad, so you're going to give me the definition? That's the challenge I always push back lovingly on an atheist or agnostic. So you don't want a transcendent being to give us all, not just me or not just you, all of us the standard of how to interact with each other. But someone has to. Who's that person, by the way? Oh, it's you. You're the one that's going to set the standard. So you're okay with someone setting the standard as long as it's you. Got it. Check. Well, that's bullshit. I mean, so I'm saying I don't set the standard. I'm looking up for my standards. My job is to understand what they are and his character so I can reflect his character to a dying world, which I'm part of, by the way. We're all broken. So
it reminds
right.
me of this. Did you hear? I don't even know the reference, but somebody was interviewing.
You all right?
Stop.
I love when he does that.
Well, shit, I
I
get
do.
it.
It's like he's like a jet engine.
He's thinking. He's in the.
I'm sorry.
He's in reboot.
Covers like 18 topics. He goes, right?
Right. Well, you're
Right.
the genius. You're my
Right.
expert witness.
No, but I mean, I kind of perseverated, if you will, in my mind on Romans 12.
Perseverated.
On
What
Romans
does that
12,
mean? Look
18.
it up for me.
Insofar as it lies within your power, live at peace with all men. This is really, I mean, the insofar as it lies within your power, what does that even mean? Well, it means to simply pursue it,
Yes.
to simply look
Preach.
for a reason to live at peace with people. Now, that doesn't mean you disregard the truth,
That's right.
and you never do that. And, this is why Paul started most of his epistles, greetings to you, grace and truth. Grace is meaningless without truth.
Amen.
Paul always, not always, but most often introduced. In fact, that's one of the ways we knew that Paul was writing, because of his introductions, the way he sort of constructed his intros. Grace and truth to you in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. And he called himself a humble apostle. So The guy who wrote, almost about half the New Testament.
The former murderer, right?
Exactly. So grace and truth to you in the name. I wish you grace and truth to you in the name of Jesus Christ. Let's have a conversation with two governing pillars.
Yep.
Let's be gracious, but let's be truthful. That's a model. That's his approach.
That's good.
And the church learned from that. And yes, that's right. That philosophy permeated through Western thought. And if you don't think it's in common law, and Charlie Kirk does a seemingly deep, but it's actually rather surface. It's meaningful. There's lots of meat and potatoes there, but he just didn't have time to go deeper, where he actually talks about the root of these convictions in our common law. Blackstone's Legal Commentary, one sort of the premier textbook for shaping English common law, which ultimately affected American common law. And then I think he brilliantly and appropriately goes and says, hey, before we even get to the Constitution, before we even get to these things, there are these things called state constitutions. Our state constitutions of the 13 colonies, most of which are what? Left-wing today. This is what I think is atrocious to me. Talk about a shift in philosophical worldview. You go back to those underpinnings. I challenge you to go and read the Delaware. Yes, that's right. From where Joseph R. Biden hails from.
Read it.
Go and read the Delaware State Constitution, please.
Do you have it?
No, I don't have it handy.
Oh, shit. You should.
No, I want to challenge people, and you can bring it up from Massachusetts.
Yep. Keep going.
Are you kidding me? Massachusetts, Virginia.
Yep.
For goodness sakes. Yes, Pennsylvania as well. Go and read those state constitutions, the initial constitutions. It is actually, and I will use the word requirement, because the word, the language is so strong. You need to show that your Christian convictions are legitimate. Wow. And there are things in there, there are statements in there that will disqualify you. Like the repudiation of, or even the mockery of, Jesus Christ. Now, why is that? Did they force you to be a Christian? No. But the thinking is, if you reject the nature and character of Christ, and this is a guy who said in John 3:16, remember, it used to be the most quoted verse, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. That's whosoever. Republicans, Democrats, would-be Republicans, would-be Democrats. That means people who think they're transitioning and people who don't think they're transitioning. That means everybody and anyone. The only requirement is you put your faith and trust in Jesus Christ. Doesn't matter what your color or creed is, or what your background is. And he talked about things like loving one another and not seeking or visiting violence on your enemy, but actually praying for them and doing good to them. So the point is, you reject the nature and character of Christ, there's a political outcome to that. Now, that's in the state level constitution. And we know what ultimately happened when the Constitution was written. There's a litmus test provision in the Constitution that prevents that. I'm just talking about the roots that forged this country, and where the politicos were, where their mindsets were, where their values were. No, it was never a theocracy. It was never demanded of people that they would convert to Christianity. None of that nonsense. But there is a set of values imbued into Scripture, how to live and how not to live. And those are an extension of the character and nature of the God of Scripture. And so the point is, we've been seeing a picking off of those things. We've been seeing
Can I read it real quick? Can I read it real quick before we wrap up? I want to read it. I mean, I think it's important. This is just portions of it. Although it is the duty of all persons frequently to assemble together for the public worship of Almighty God, yet no person shall be compelled to attend any religious worship. So you're not compelled, but it's your duty to say, and this is how it should be, to attribute any ministry against his or her own free will. I love that. That's that freedom of expression, but there's a requirement. Sure. But then it says, under the Delaware 1776 Constitution, there was a requirement for public office holders to declare faith in God the Father, in Jesus Christ, his only Son, and in the Holy Ghost, and to acknowledge the Holy Scriptures as divinely inspired. I mean, look, you don't have to like it. You don't have to like it, but this is the undergirding of our foundation.
I have a white paper on all the
13 colonies. I have no doubt you do.
I mean, it's just
but
there.
There's 13 colonies, and they all believed this, and they came. There was some ethos that brought them together. Yes, they fought over slavery. Yes, they made concessions for a period of time, because they knew down the road they needed to get away from England, and they were going to change the whole slavery requirement. But there had to be some set of ideas and principles to undergird this experiment they were going to put together to go against the strongest army in the world at the time. And it was this mindset, this Judea, this Christian mindset. And this, so
the
I'm glad
founders
you
were
said
aware-
Virginia,
Oh, please continue.
Massachusetts. I didn't look that part up, but go ahead.
And the founders were aware of other religious worldviews. They knew more about Islam than the average
Sure, they did.
politician today. And
That's another topic we need to talk about.
At that time, they
next
called them Mohammedans,
Yeah.
Or the Muslimans at the time that they used to call them. But they knew about that. They knew about Eastern monism. They knew about Hinduism.
Buddhism.
They were fully aware of that.
Buddhism. Yeah.
And yes, a word out to Kash Patel. They knew about Valhalla. They were aware of that. They thought maybe that's not a good way to build a nation where the strongest gets to survive, and screw the weak. So, and we end up with a heaven exclusively for soldiers. So that's why I was wondering. Kash Patel was not a soldier. Kirk wasn't a soldier, and neither is the governor of Utah. But somehow they're all going.
Any comments, Karen? Do we need to address? Are we good?
No, everything's good. With this conversation, I was just thinking of one soundbite from Jasmine Crockett this week, and she said something like,
"Must be great."
Yeah, just because you committed a crime doesn't mean you're a criminal.
I agree with that.
Really? I was like,
do.
what does that have to do with anything? It doesn't committing a crime mean are a criminal.
It depends how you define criminal.
Depends on how you
define criminal.
Okay, but then
have you ever committed a lie?
Of course.
Then you're a liar.
Okay, got it.
Forever?
Got it.
You know
got
what I'm
it.
saying?
But what
she
she
I don't know if
was
she meant it that way.
She didn't.
I'm thinking
She
of the
meant it
biblical
in the more
understanding.
broad way,
Yeah, I
just
know.
like committing an assassination is not murder. I mean, or not killing someone, because I think sometimes there's some kind of disconnect between
I don't know.
saying
I don't know her heart when she was saying it, or what her
she's
goals
just
she was trying.
stupid, so she said it in the dumb way. Right. She said it in the dumb way. In the dumbest way.
All I'm saying is, because I agree with that sentiment if you understand it from a biblical
But I'm
understanding.
just saying that
Yeah.
poll, you still, I mean, assassination is still somebody's dead, and it's just not right.
Yeah. Well, look at the comments if we can later on this weekend. Thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate that. We hope your conversations are meaningful when you leave this podcast, and that you engage each other. I'll look at them later respectfully. Thank you for joining us. Again, please share these with other people, whether they agree with us or not, because we need to have some. Okay.
I just
you can say something or what? Trying to wrap up.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go on, George.
Well, I mean, she tied Charlie to the cancer of white supremacy, and
okay.
and he referred to her as a circus act. So I'm just
So they didn't like each other.
I don't think there's any love lost there.
Okay.
But,
You're
but
talking
look,
about.
but look at the category. Look at the category. What you're saying is ridiculous. I mean, it's like circus stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But she says, well, you must be white.
You're evil.
It's that cancer.
Yeah.
You're part of that cancer. Now,
Right.
what do you do with cancer?
Cut it out.
You nurture it. No, you cut. That's my point. You got to start thinking about.
But to
these things.
truly hear from cancer, you holistically address it and you clean up the environment, and then cancer cannot survive. So that's the answer to this country.
Yeah.
Change the environment so cancer can't survive. Guys, thanks for joining us this weekend. Share this with someone you think may benefit from it. Have a blessed weekend. God bless you. Bye-bye.